Heartwarming miracle. Millionaire's unexpected act saves little girl, 8, who couldn't breathe. It was a picture-perfect summer evening at the Harvest Festival, where laughter poured like the sweet, sticky caramel corn filling the air. Families gathered in droves, their faces glowing with joy, oblivious to the undercurrents of anxiety lurking behind the festival lights. Among them was 8-year-old Emma Thompson, a spirited girl with wild curls and a smile that could light up the darkest room. But beneath that joyful surface lay a struggle compounded by a rare respiratory disease that stole her breath like a thief in the night. Emma's world was small, contained mostly within the warmth of her mother's love. Sarah, her hardworking single mom, balanced 2 jobs as a waitress, chasing the elusive American dream. Those medical bills hung overhead like storm clouds, sowing seeds of worry in Sarah's heart. Every day was a new battle, but Sarah was a beacon of hope, teaching her daughter to cherish each moment despite the odds. As the sun dipped lower, casting a golden hue over the festival, the excitement buzzed louder. Pie-eating contests, games, and laughter surrounded them, creating an atmosphere that felt almost magical. Yet, for Sarah and Emma, the magic felt distant, dulled by the looming specter of healthcare costs. The festival served as a painful reminder of the increasing gap between the haves and have-nots, a reality starkly different from the carefree fun around them. Jack Sullivan, a wealthy businessman, walked through the crowd with an air of entitlement, his laughter overlaid with arrogance. He mingled with the elite of the town, a world far removed from the struggles of families like Sarah and Emma's. Emma watched with wide eyes, feeling a disconnect that both fascinated and disheartened her. How could someone live like that, utterly careless of the heart-wrenching realities faced by their neighbors? Just then, as festive songs played, Sarah mustered the courage to approach Jack. Tension simmered in the air as she expressed her frustrations about the healthcare system, her voice shaking as she shared their plight. Jack stood still, caught off guard, grappling with a truth that had long eluded him. The flicker of empathy began to stir within him, igniting a resolve he'd lost in the pursuit of wealth. But before any real conversations could unfold, the joyous cheer transformed into a cacophony of gasps as Emma suddenly collapsed. Panic swept through the crowd like wildfire. Sarah's heart raced. She knelt beside her daughter, pleading for her to breathe. Jack, without thinking, rushed to the scene. Adrenaline coursed through him as he felt the weight of the moment, the fragile life before him. He took charge, frantically checking Emma while the crowd watched in breathless silence. Seconds surged into eternity, every heartbeat amplifying the fear that had gripped them. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Jack knelt there, the world around him began to shift. A powerful realization surged within him. He could no longer ignore the chasm that separated him from the community he had grown indifferent to. The optics of the festival drifted into a blur, leaving behind only the raw urgency of saving Emma's life. In that moment, the boundaries of wealth and privilege melted away, replaced by an instinctual drive to protect. Jack's heart ached not just for Emma's life, but for the countless families facing the same daunting struggles. Would he choose the path of connection and compassion, or retreat back to his bubble of isolation? As the crowd held its breath, the festival turned into a crucible of human connection, leaving everyone wondering, would this be the moment that changed their town forever? Jack's fingers fumbled as he checked for Emma's pulse. Time slipped into a shadowy swirl, every sound muted except for the frantic beating of his heart. It felt surreal, as if the world had paused just for this moment. A life hung in the balance, and his instincts kicked in. He began performing CPR, pushing down with urgency, willing her to breathe again, Sarah hovered close, her face twisted in anguish and disbelief. "Please, Emma. Please." The words tumbled from her lips in desperate rhythm with Jack's movements. The crowd had turned into a sea of breathless spectators, some holding their children tightly, others whispering frantic prayers. In the back, someone called for help, but all eyes were fixed on the girl who fought for her life with silent strength. Jack's muscles strained, pushing Emma's small body in rhythmic compressions. Each thrust felt like a battle cry, challenging the universe to grant this girl another shot. Yet, self-doubt knotted in his stomach. What if he was too late? What if he had failed before he had even begun to understand the depth of his own privilege? As he continued, memories of his own childhood flashed through his mind, reminders of simpler days, laughter with friends at summer festivals just like this one. Did he ever think, even once, about those like Emma? All the families who weren't just trying to enjoy a festival but were grappling with crises that could crumble their worlds? Fear gripped his chest, heavier than before. Then, a flicker of movement, a gasp. Emma's body jolted, and Jack leaned in closer, praying for a sign of consciousness. Suddenly, a cough erupted from her tiny frame, a sound like a fragile wind chime breaking a long, eerie stillness. Emma rolled to her side, wheezing but alive. Relief washed over the crowd like a sudden rain, as gasps turned to exclamations of joy. Sarah fell to her knees, tears spilling down her cheeks. "Oh, baby, you're okay. You're okay." She clutched Emma fiercely, pouring all her love into that embrace, breathing her daughter back to life with every ounce of affection. Jack pulled back slightly, catching his breath while witnessing this raw moment. He felt the warmth of the connection. The barrier he'd built around his heart had cracked open, and in its place, a flicker of something he thought he'd lost a long time ago. Compassion. He realized that in this moment, he was no longer just a wealthy businessman at a festival. He was a part of this community, entangled in their joys and suffering. But then the crowd began muttering again, glancing toward him. Was it admiration, or something else? He could sense the uncertainty. What would they think of him now? Was he still the same man who basked in wealth, or could he become something greater? He felt torn between two worlds, both standing right before him. In the wake of the rescue, the atmosphere shifted. The festival was no longer just a fun gathering. It had transformed into a poignant reminder of shared humanity. As people began to approach Jack, he saw the curious expressions intermingled with gratitude. Then a small boy stepped forward, holding out a yellow balloon, the bright color a stark contrast to the gravity of the situation. "You saved her today? Can you save all of us?" Jack froze as the weight of those words sank in. Could one man really make a difference? As a new wave of emotions surged through him, a decision began to take shape. But would he have the courage to see it through? The festival had been a turning point, but another storm brewed just on the horizon. Would Jack find the strength to step up outside of this moment, to bridge the divide he had so comfortably inhabited? As laughter resumed around him, and he faced the hopeful eyes of the community he'd neglected for too long, he realized this was only the beginning. What path lay ahead? Would he dare pursue it? Jack stared at the little boy, the yellow balloon floating away on the gentle breeze. His heart raced, awareness bursting in his chest like a wave. This wasn't just about Emma, it was a call to action for everyone who felt voiceless. As he looked into those wide, innocent eyes, Jack felt an undeniable pull, a need to answer not just that boy's question, but the needs of a community he had ignored for far too long. He took a deep breath and knelt to the boy's level. "I'll do my best," he said, his voice barely rising above the chatter of the crowd. He could see hope blossom in the boy's expression like a flower breaking through winter's frost. The festival resumed slowly, the air thick with relief and joy, yet Jack felt different. The laughter felt more meaningful, yet echoed with a strange tension, as if everyone was waiting for him to act. He could sense murmurs, snippets of conversations about him. Some praised his bravery, while others whispered of uncertainty. A knot twisted in his stomach. How could he possibly live up to the expectations now flowing toward him? He wasn't a hero, He was just a man who stumbled into doing what anyone should be done. Sarah leaned over, still holding her daughter, who now clung to her like a lifebuoy. "Thank you, Jack," she said, her voice thick with gratitude and the adrenaline of the moment. "You saved my Emma." Jack felt a lump in his throat. I did what I could." He realized that was the truth, a truth that cut deeper than he expected. Why had he waited so long to truly see these people? Why was he so quick to dismiss their struggles while he lived in a bubble of wealth and comfort? As the celebrations spun around him, a sense of urgency filled Jack. Perhaps this was the moment he could finally reach out. Perhaps he could transform this festival, this shared experience, into something lasting. What if he didn't just walk away after the last balloon floated into the sky? What if he opened up opportunities for those like Emma, like the small boy holding the remnants of his bright balloon? He felt the only way to reclaim his heart, now wide open, was to act. He rose to his feet, looking for the organizer of the festival, a friendly old man named Mr. Thompson who had greeted him warmly when he arrived. He spotted him near the food stalls, his wiry frame moving with purpose as he orchestrated the return to normalcy, while still occasionally casting glances at the crowd surrounding Jack. "Mr. Thompson," Jack called out, pushing through the joyful throng.
"Can we talk?"
Mr. Thompson turned, surprise sliding across his weathered face. "Sure, Jack. What's on your mind?" "I want to help," Jack said, heart thumping within his chest. "I want to do more than just provide a moment. I want to start something here. Something that lasts. Something real." As the words left his mouth, disbelieving eyes locked onto Jack. He was terrified, yet exhilarated. It was as if he was standing at the edge of a cliff, staring into the infinite potential that lay below. Mr. Thompson's eyes narrowed. "You're serious?" "Absolutely." Jack couldn't turn back now. There was too much at stake, too much need surrounding him. But as the two men began to discuss ideas, a shadow swept across the festival, like a dark cloud threatening to overshadow the day's newfound hope. An angry voice from the periphery broke through, demanding to know, what does he care about us? He's just here for his own image. Jack's heart sank. Was that true? Would he ever escape the shadows of his privilege? He turned to the crowd, their eyes drilling into him expectantly. "Can I prove it?" he asked. Vulnerability splashed across his face. But what would prove it even mean? With every glance, every whispered doubt, a challenge arose. Would he find the strength to step forward? Or would he falter under the weight of their expectations? Jack took a step back, his breath catching. The real journey was only beginning, and his next move was uncertain. Would he embrace the unknown, or retreat back to his old life? Jack felt the weight of the crowd's scrutiny pressing against him, every whisper echoing in his ears. He wanted to run, to escape to the safety of his car, but something held him in place. Deep down, he knew there was no turning back now. He had stepped into this role, however unwittingly, and he'd have to face the consequences. "You're not alone, Jack," came a voice from the back. It was a familiar face, one he had seen among the festival vendors. Mary, who ran the local bakery, stood firm, hands on her hips. "A lot of us have been waiting for someone to notice." Her gaze hardened against the disillusionment surrounding them. "It's not about you. It's about us. It's about doing something that connects our community." He looked at her, searching for the strength that buoyed her words. "You're right, Mary. But how do I lead when I've never tried before?" "Start small," Mr. Thompson interjected, stepping closer. "Every action counts. Maybe we could create a program that supports kids like Emma. Scholarships, mentorship, whatever they need to thrive." Jack nodded, the idea sparking something inside him. "We could also set up workshops, teaching skills that matter. Kids want to feel they can achieve something. It doesn't have to be just about school. It could be art, sports, music. I have resources. We can make this happen." The murmur of the crowd shifted. Hope kindled in some eyes, while skepticism lingered in others. Still, Jack pressed on. "I may not understand everything, but I'm willing to learn, to listen, to really engage. I want to show you that I mean it." Another voice cut through the speculation, more direct and piercing than before. And how will we know you won T? Just vanish, once the applause dies down. What has to stop you from running back to your safe life? Jack felt his heart race, as uncertainty threatened to swallow him whole. He remembered the boy with the balloon, the raw vulnerability he'd seen in those children's faces. "I'll commit," he declared, knowing the words were as much a promise to himself as to them. "Let us create something that doesn't rely on my presence. Let us build a team, a community effort. I want you all to have ownership." As he spoke, something shifted in the crowd. The tension began to dissipate, replaced by cautious optimism. Jack could see families leaning in, whispering to one another, doubts still flickering in their eyes but slowly being replaced by curiosity. But just as hope seemed to blossom, a childish laughter rang out, followed by the discordant sound of another balloon popping, not the joyless kind, but the kind that makes you suddenly aware of life's fragility. Everyone turned, and there stood the little boy with a yellow balloon. He looked crestfallen, tears beginning to glisten in his big eyes as the remnants of his balloon floated down like confetti. Jack's heart ached at the sight. In that moment, he understood. This was not just about Emma or the festival. It was about the little boy losing his moment of joy, a reminder of how fragile hope could be. "I'll do whatever it takes to help," Jack said, practically shouting now. "Let us make a place where every balloon, like that one he gestured toward the boy, has the chance to soar. This starts today. Right here, right now." The crowd responded, hesitant but undeniably drawn in. But then, a voice piped up from deep within the throng, dripping with sarcasm. "And what if you fail? What if this is just another empty promise?" Jack felt the challenge strike true. The foundations of his resolve were shaky, but could he confront this? Could he dig deeper within himself to rise and truly serve the community he had shunned for so long? He took a breath, adrenaline coursing through him, ready to take this leap of faith into the unknown. Would this be the moment that defined his journey, or would it be yet another misstep in a long line of failures? As Jack looked over at the crowd, anticipating their next move, all he could feel was the impending tremor of uncertainty and the flicker of hope waiting to be lit. Jack's mind raced. In that charged moment, he felt the weight of 1,000 eyes, each one a reminder of the expectation resting upon him. The boy's tearful face loomed large in his thoughts. Every child deserved joy, every balloon a chance to fly. He couldn't fail now. He had to muster every ounce of strength. I in the front row. Mary raised her hand. "What if we make a list?" she suggested, her voice steady. "Let us gather ideas from everyone. We can outline each person's strengths and interests. Like a brainstorm, you know? We can make this a community-driven effort." The idea sparked a chorus of agreement. Voices lifted in a mix of energy. "Yes. Let us do it. I want to help." Jack felt a rush of gratitude for Mary's initiative, a powerful reminder that he didn't have to bear this burden alone. "Absolutely. We can have a meeting right after the festival," he replied, enthusiasm spilling into his voice. "Let us set dates, build schedules, create roles for everyone. This is about our community." But as the crowd buzzed with excitement, a heavy cloud loomed over the boy who had lost his balloon. Jack could see him from where he stood, crushed and teetering on the brink of despair. Every cheer and clamor danced around him, but didn't touch him. "Wait!" Jack called out, his heart urging him forward. He pushed through the throng. When he reached the small boy, he crouched down to match his height. "Hey there, buddy. What's your name?" "Tommy," the boy whispered, sniffling back tears. "Tommy," Jack repeated softly. "You know what? Balloons are pretty amazing, aren't they? They fly high and bring so much fun. But sometimes they pop. Just like life. It can be really tough, but that doesn't mean we can't find new ways to enjoy it." Tommy's eyes widened slightly, flickering with curiosity. "So, let us do this," Jack continued, determination ringing in his voice. "Why don't you help me? Together, we can make more balloons." But they won't just float away. He smiled, reaching into his pocket and pulling out his own balloon. "Do you want to help me blow it up?" Tommy nodded, a small spark of eagerness igniting amongst his sorrow. As Jack inflated the balloon, he felt the collective gaze of the crowd shift. They were no longer just passive watchers. They were witnessing something meaningful unfold. Jack handed the balloon to Tommy, who held it tight.
"Take it," Jack said gently.
"And let it be a symbol of what we're going to do together. No matter what happens, we'll fill this place with happy balloons." Cheers erupted from the crowd. Jack looked around, wanting to soak in this moment, to engrave it into his memory. But before he could bask in the cheers, the child broke through the noise with a small, triumphant laugh that echoed in Jack's heart, and in the blink of an eye, another boy darted past them, clutching a fresh set of balloons. He stumbled, releasing a small cluster into the air. The crowd gasped collectively, the colors rising ever higher, vibrant against the cerulean sky.
"Look!"
someone shouted. "Those are for the fundraiser." Jack watched the balloons drift upward, a mix of anticipation and uncertainty swirling within him. Could they really pull this off? Could they harness this energy and turn it into something greater? In that moment, Jack felt a flicker of conviction. Maybe this was the beginning, not just for him, but for everyone. But as he turned to face the crowd again, something shifted in the atmosphere. The murmurs grew, the excitement transformed into something heavier. The voice that had questioned him before was back. "And if what you're promising isn't enough? What then? Will these kids really have a future?" The question hung in the air like a thick fog. Jack's heart sank again. The doubt simmered beneath the surface, threatening to drown out the joy that had momentarily sparked. "Let us see if we can find the answer together," he replied, though inside, fear gnawed at him. What if this became just another promise broken, like Tommy's balloon, but the glimmer of hope remained waiting to be reignited? And could they transform uncertainty into something powerful? With the sun starting to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows, Jack stood resolute, caught in the thrilling disquiet of potential. Would they take the next step into the unknown, or retreat to forgotten dreams? Jack stood at the center of the festival, feeling the weight of words and emotions swirling around him. The laughter and cheer felt like a distant echo, overshadowed by the lingering doubt that clung to him. He could still see Tommy, the balloon clutched tightly in his hands, the light of hope just peeking through the storm clouds of fear. "Let us not waste this moment," Jack thought, motivation seeping back into his veins. "How can we channel this energy?" He raised his hands, attempting to capture the attention of the crowd once more. "All right, everyone, I want to hear your ideas." His voice rang out, firm yet inviting. "What can we do to make this fundraiser something truly special?" There was a momentary silence, as if the entire crowd held its breath. Then it happened. A ripple of suggestions, one after another, filled the air. Parents chimed in, kids shouted ideas, and old friends remembered past events that had lit up the community. Jack's heart swelled as he listened, feeling their collective spirit surge. Mary stepped closer to him. "We could set up a talent show," she exclaimed. The crowd responded with excitement, some cheering while others began to clap, the energy rising again. Then came another voice. "What about bake sales? I'd happily put my cookies on the line." Laughter erupted, breaking the remaining tension in the air. "Yes," Jack beamed. "Baking contests, a mini carnival. Let us include everyone." Each idea seemed to lift the group higher and higher, building momentum. Jack felt new life coursing through him, buoying his purpose as laughter harmonized with possibilities, washing away the doubts that had shadowed him. Tommy, with the balloon still firmly clenched in his fist, shouted, "Can we have a big balloon launch? Like a parade?" The entire crowd turned to Tommy, their smiles blossoming. "That's brilliant." Mary clapped her hands together. "Let us make it happen." Jack couldn't help but smile. Each idea planted more seeds of hope. "We can have shirts made too, all depicting our community spirit," he suggested. "And let us get the local musicians involved. There is so much talent nearby." As discussions erupted once more, Jack glanced at Tommy, whose smile was now a beacon of joy amidst the chaos. Seeing the boy's excitement, Jack felt a flicker of inner joy transform into a blaze of energy. But just as the ideas flew, so did the doubts. The hovering voice returned, with its harsh edge. What if this isn't enough? What if you can't pull it all off? Jack's heart quickened. The questions lingered like dark clouds looming over a sunny day. Yet, as he looked around at the faces lit up with determination, he realized something important. Maybe it didn't have to be perfect. Maybe progress was enough. One small step at a time would lead to something truly extraordinary. Listen, he called out, breaking through the murmurs. We may not have all the answers right now, but we have each other, and that's what makes us strong. Cheers erupted, a symphony of hope that wrapped around him like a warm embrace. With a renewed sense of conviction, Jack proclaimed, "Let us set a date for our first big meeting to make all these ideas happen. Together, we'll show everyone what this community is capable of." And as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over the festival, Jack felt certain that this could be the start of a new chapter not just for him, but for everyone around him. Yet somewhere in the recesses of his mind, the doubts still echoed, teasing like shadows. Would they truly bring this vision to life? Could they rally enough support as the festival moved forward, promises blossoming like those balloons in the sky? Jack couldn't shake the question, what if this was just the beginning of countless challenges ahead? The uncertainty loomed, but so did a heartbeat of hope. The meeting was set for the following Saturday, and the energy in the town grew electric. Flyers were circulated, excitement bubbled over, and people talked excitedly about what they could contribute. Jack spent the week sitting on a wave of optimism, planning every detail. The doubts still lingered, but they were overshadowed by the thrill of anticipation. Finally, the day arrived. As Jack approached the community center, he felt his heart race. It was a cozy, familiar building filled with memories of school plays and neighborhood functions. However, today felt different. This was about change, about hope. That he stepped inside and was greeted by a lively group of community members. Laughter mixed with murmurs of eager conversation. Faces he knew shone with anticipation. Families took up seats at tables, kids scampering around with balloons, the little ones especially drawn to Tommy, who was showing off his prized red balloon. It floated above him, bobbing like a cheerful sun in the room. "Look at all of you," Jack exclaimed, feeling a surge of inspiration. "You all came together. This is amazing." Tommy ran up to him, his eyes wide and glowing. "Can I help with the balloons?" "Of course, buddy. We're going to need all the help we can get." Jack smiled down at him. As the meeting began, Jack laid out all the ideas they had brainstormed. Talent shows, bake sales, and of course, the balloon launch. Everyone chimed in, feeling more empowered as they built on each other's suggestions. Ideas snowballed, transforming into grand schemes. "I know a local band we can hire for the talent show," one parent exclaimed, while another volunteered the use of their bakery for the bake sale. With each new idea, Jack's heart swelled further. He felt solid ground beneath him, and for a moment, all doubts faded. The laughter and excitement from the crowd ignited that spark of community he had longed for. But as the meeting progressed, clouds began to gather. Someone raised a concern about the budget. "What if we can't raise enough money?" they asked, skepticism creeping in. It turned the air a bit heavy. Jack felt the weight of the question. "I know it's scary," he said, looking around the room. "But what matters is that we're doing this together. Let every cookie, every song, every balloon count. Small steps can lead to something big." "We're all in this for Tommy," Mary spoke up, giving Jack a look that conveyed unshaken support. "We won't let him down." The room erupted in applause. The spirit rekindled. Everyone rallied together, agreeing to tackle tasks, set up committees, and make calls. Tommy stood near the front, clutching his balloon tighter, his innocence a reminder of why they were all fighting.
"Yes,
"We can do this," someone shouted, and the crowd echoed it back in affirmation, an army of hope and determination rising to meet a moment. As the meeting wrapped up, Jack stepped outside, feeling the weight of the world lift off his shoulders. He watched as families trickled out, their spirits high, determination written across every face. Yet lurking inside him was the familiar doubt, gnawing away. What if this momentum fizzled out? What if they couldn't rally the necessary support? As he stared at the sunset, he caught a glimpse of Tommy, watching the balloon as it danced in the wind. Soon a woman called out, breaking his reverie.
Jack.
You should meet someone. Curiosity piqued. He turned to see who was approaching. The stranger had an air of authority, but Jack was uncertain. This could be a turning point, or just another obstacle in their path. Who is it? He asked, tension creeping back. Just wait and see, she replied with a mysterious smile that suggested something unexpected was unraveling before him. In that moment, beneath the threads of hope, doubt entwined itself again. What could this newcomer mean for their plans? Jack's heart raced as the new chapter of this unfolding story began. Jack took a step closer, squinting at the figure now striding toward him. The woman had a confident air, and her deep purple blazer caught the light against the evening sky. She looked composed, but there was a spark in her eye that seemed to invite curiosity. Hi there. I'm Lisa, she said, extending her hand. I heard you were organizing something special for the community. Make it special. That's the plan, Jack replied, shaking her hand, surprised at how firm her grip was. We're all just trying to rally together for Tommy, you know? To make a difference. Her brow furrowed slightly, and she glanced back toward the community center. It sounds like you've really stirred things up, Jack. But tell me, are you prepared for the challenges ahead? His heart sank. Here it was another reminder of the obstacles waiting to rear their heads. I think we can handle it. I mean, everyone seems really fired up. That's great to hear, she replied, a hint of skepticism in her tone. But in a project like this, surprises can be unexpected. She paused for a moment, sensing the tension in Jack's shoulders. I can help. I can help a lot. But I need to know you're truly committed to this cause. He took a breath, steadying his nerves. Absolutely. I've never wanted anything more than to bring this town together, to do this for Tommy. As Jack spoke, something deep inside him flickered a spark of determination. He felt the weight of the town's hopes. He wouldn't let Tommy down. He couldn't. Lisa's expression softened.
Good.
Community projects often attract the attention of people who may want to undermine it. You'll need to be ready for that. Undermine it? Jack couldn't help but frown. Why would anyone want to do that? Sometimes people are threatened by change. They might not understand your intentions or feel misplaced by the spotlight you're bringing. She scanned the crowd filtering out of the community center before locking eyes with him. But those aren't your problems to solve. Your focus should be on the kids, on Tommy. Bring your vision to life, and the rest will follow. I'll support you through it all. Her words washed over him, stirring excitement alongside his lingering doubts. She spoke with a conviction that made him believe they could truly move mountains if they united the crowd around him. Suddenly, he felt the familiar urge to embrace change, to foster growth not just for Tommy, but for the entire community. I want to do this. We will do this, he affirmed, more to himself than to her. Lisa smiled, the warmth in her demeanor inviting Jack back into a hopeful space. Let us start. Once people see the good you're doing, the momentum will carry itself. I'll step in as your advisor. Together, we can create something inspiring. Jack's heart raced again, but this time, it was filled with courage instead of doubt. Just as he was about to agree, a commotion in the distance drew his attention. A child's voice had risen above the crowd. Jack turned, scanning the faces, and noticed Tommy had fallen, the red balloon slipping from his grip and drifting up into the sky. Panic surged through Jack as he rushed forward, the sound of his heart thudding in his ears. He had to reassure Tommy, to calm him, but as he reached the boy kneeling on the grass, Jack felt a knot tightening. Tommy, it's okay, he called, kneeling beside him. It's just a balloon. We can get another one. We can bet something in Tommy's eyes shattered Jack's attempt at reassurance. Those little eyes were searching for something deeper, something beyond the balloon. In that moment, Jack's thoughts spiraled. What if he couldn't even save a balloon for the little boy? Would he really be capable of leading this community to support Tommy's future? As the balloon floated higher, disappearing into the dusk, Jack realized he had not yet faced the real challenge ahead. The stakes were much higher than he could have anticipated. "Where is the balloon going, Jack?" Tommy whispered, an innocence in his voice that punctured Jack's heart. For a moment, Jack just looked at the sky, but all he felt was the weight of responsibility. How could he explain to a child that sometimes, just like balloons, dreams could drift away too? They needed this to work. But would they be strong enough to hold on when things got tough? The air felt heavy with uncertainty, and Jack wondered if, amid all the excitement, he was ready for what lay ahead. Just then, a sudden shout echoed from the community center.
"Jack,
"We need you inside now." Overwhelmed, he glanced at Tommy, whose face now held fragile hope. What was waiting for him within those walls? Somehow, he felt that this moment was just the beginning of a much deeper journey. Jack's heart raced as he stood up, brushing the grass off his knees. He exchanged one last worried glance with Tommy, who still stared longingly at the cloud of red floating above them. "I'll be right back, okay?" Jack promised, hoping his voice sounded stronger than he felt. He turned and hurried toward the community center, each step echoing the urgency weighing on his spirit. The door swung open, and he was met with a chaotic scene. A small crowd had gathered around a girl who lay on the floor, her face pale, her body struggling to breathe. Shades of panic rippled through the group, eyes darting about as mobile phones were pulled out to call for help. "Is someone taking charge?" Jack shouted, pushing through the throng. A middle-aged man in a blue shirt, clearly shaken, turned to him. "I think she is having an asthma attack. We need to make sure she can breathe." Jack's instincts kicked in as he moved closer. "Where's her inhaler?" he asked, adrenaline surging through him. He scanned the crowd, heart thumping in his chest like a drum. "She left it at home." A voice cried out from the back. Frustration flared within him. There had to be something they could do. The air felt thick and heavy, like the weight of 1,000 expectations pressing down on him. He knelt beside the girl, studying her fast breaths. Her eyes were bright with fear and confusion, glistening with unshed tears. "Hey there," Jack said softly, taking her hand. "What's your name?" "Amy," she gasped, the sound barely escaping her lips. "I'm Jack. We're together in this, okay? I need you to focus on my voice. Just breathe with me," he encouraged, matching his breathing to show her the way. "In and out."
Just like that.
The crowd hushed, watching Jack work with the girl, and somewhere in the audience, he spotted Lisa. Her face was a mixture of concern and admiration as she moved closer, ready to assist. He desperately hoped for anything that might help. "Can someone grab a piece of cloth?" Lisa called out. "We can help her stay calm." A kind woman rushed forward, ripping a section from her scarf, and quickly handed it to Lisa. Together, they gently held it over Amy's mouth, helping her regulate her breaths. Jack kept locked into Amy's gaze, refusing to let her slip away. "You've got this. I'm right here. You're going to be okay. Just keep breathing with me." After what felt like an eternity, Jack noticed a gradual easing of panic in her eyes. Slowly, her breath became steadier, and he felt a flicker of relief ignite inside him. Then, sirens wailed in the distance. Jack felt a rush of gratitude. Help was coming. He squeezed Amy's hand, letting her know she wasn't alone.
"See?
"Help is on the way," he said, pride swelling in his chest as he noticed the kindness emerging from the crowd. People were rallying around Amy, holding her hand, whispering words of encouragement. "Look at that," he said, a lightheartedness creeping into his voice. "You've got a whole fan club here." Amy managed a weak smile, and he felt her grip grow just a little stronger. As the paramedics rushed in, Jack stood back, a wave of exhaustion crashing over him. They had done it together as a community. But just as they took over, Jack's phone buzzed in his pocket. With a quick glance, he saw a message from Lisa. "We need to discuss something important about the project. It's time to prepare for what's next." A shiver ran down his spine. Between his heart still pounding from the emergency and the nagging uncertainty about the impending challenges ahead, one thought crystallized in his mind. This was just the beginning. With a deep breath, he turned his eyes back to the calm forming in the community center. He couldn't shake the feeling that a surreal storm was brewing. He needed to be ready. But ready for what? The answer loomed just out of reach, waiting for him to embrace it head-on. The weeks rolled by, bustling with activity and anticipation. Jack poured himself into the community project. Ideas morphed into reality, and the spirit of togetherness bloomed vividly, like the colorful balloons they were preparing to launch for the fundraiser. Faces that once held uncertainty now glowed with determination. Tommy bounded through the streets, clutching his red balloon as a symbol of hope. Jack stood in front of a makeshift stage, overseeing the final touches for the talent show. The stage was draped in shimmering fabric, twinkling in the soft light of dusk. Families gathered, laughter filling the air, a symphony of voices blending into a melody of community. The moment arrived, families began to fill the seats, and more kids than he could count waved brightly colored balloons, their excitement palpable. Jack felt a surge of warmth wash over him as he spotted Tommy, red balloon bobbing above his head. The boy's face was radiant, filled with a joy that resonated deep inside Jack. This was it, the culmination of their hard work. As the evening rolled forward, the talent show blossomed into a showcase of laughter, music, and shared stories. Each act brought the crowd closer, knitting their hearts together, creating threads of connection that they desperately needed. Jack watched as one of the local bands played a lively tune, families clapping along, children dancing freely. It felt electric. Halfway through the show, Jack took a moment to step back and breathe. He glanced over at Lisa, who beamed with pride from the crowd. She had become a mentor in every sense of the word, guiding him on how to navigate not just the community, but the complexities of facing challenges. She caught his gaze, and they exchanged a knowing smile, one that said they both believed in this shared mission. But amidst the joy, the doubt didn't vanish. Uncertainty flitted at the edges of Jack's mind. What if this wasn't enough? Just then, an aggressive shout broke through the laughter. "You're just a rich guy playing hero. What do you know about us?" The voice came from the back, a familiar face twisted in anger, echoing the fears that lurked in Jack's subconscious. The laughter faded, replaced by whispers. All eyes turned to Jack. His heart raced. The warmth of the moment chilled. Yet, something inside him stirred. He stepped forward to address the crowd, lifting his chin higher. "What I know," he began, his voice steady, "is that this isn't about me. This is about all of us." A ripple of surprise murmured through the crowd. "Together, we can build something real, something that lasts, not just for today. I want to listen, learn, and support." And as many heads nodded, Jack took a deep breath. He felt a weight lift. Honesty echoed back in cheers of agreement. "Let us rise together. Let us take charge of our community's future." Their responses built momentum, the energy vibrant again. When the last act finished, Jack took center stage, surrounded by clapping and cheers. "Tonight is just the beginning. Let us keep this fire lit." The crowd erupted into applause, shared enthusiasm igniting every corner of the space. As the night tapered down, they transitioned to the big balloon launch, a way to symbolize not just hope but unity. One by one, Jack watched families release their balloons, thousands of colors rising into the sky. He felt the collective dreams floating upward, each balloon carrying whispers of hope, heart, and pride. Jack caught Tommy's eye, now beaming with uncontained joy, his red balloon nearly lost amongst the multitude. In that moment, it became clear this wasn't just about lifting balloons. They were lifting each other. When the last of the balloons disappeared into the summer sky, Jack felt renewed energy pulse within him. Together, they had proven they could transcend challenges, cocooned in strength and support that extended far beyond their event. As families began to gather their things and head home, a few parents approached Jack, gratitude shining in their tired eyes. They embraced him with warmth. "Thank you," they said, words carried by sincerity. "You see us. You really see us." Jack smiled, a well of emotion ready to spill over. "You all are incredible. This is our journey together, and I won't back down. I'll be there every step of the way." But as he left, turning to the whispers of laughter and the last twinkles of the festival lights, uncertainty still pricked the edges of his heart. What was next? What challenges awaited? All he knew was that together, they could navigate whatever storm loomed ahead. Hand in hand, they would build something beautiful, transcending the making of one balloon a city, a dream, a home always willing to rise again if they fell. And as the community turned towards the horizon filled with possibility, Jack stepped forward into the future, ready to face what lay ahead. Jack took a breath, feeling the collective heartbeat of the community. This was not just his journey, but a shared one steeped in love and resilience. The uncertainty that had once gripped him was now merely the backdrop to the adventure. They were writing a story worth sharing, one of hope that would inspire many to join. As he stood there, surrounded by laughter and love, the values they had cultivated together shimmered like the stars beginning to puncture the night sky. Now is the time to take action. You need to subscribe now to catch more of these amazing stories and transformations. This is the moment to show your support for our community by hitting like. Don't wait not even one more second to share this transformative journey with at least 5 friends who need a little hope. Comment below with your feelings about this ending, and let us create a wave of positivity together.